Yishem Adonai Mevorach Me'ata V'Adonai Hashem's name will be blessed forever and ever. This Torah class, cut to the chase. What to waste? It's not to waste. How to do it? We're going to go B'ezras Hashem and dive deeply to the halachot. Today I'll try to wrap it up. Baruch Hashem, you guys have a lot of questions. This is why I can finish it in 1 or 2 classes, which is good. This is why we're here.
That's how we
and this is all. It's all about discussion. It's not a lecture. I would love you to participate and ask questions. And B'ezras Hashem, even if I don't have the answer, I'll make efforts to investigate, learn, and bring it the next class. B'ezras Hashem. This Torah class is sponsored by Malki Ozeri, Leilu nishmat, for the sake of the soul. Naftali ben Aziz HaCohen, he's the father of Lili Cohen. He passed away a few days ago. Also for Refuah Shelema for Huna ben Shlomo and Avraham ben Miriam. And any other name you want to mention, please do so now.
And also for the Aliyah for Joseph Cohen's father. Anybody knows his name?
Okay. So, as I told you, as I mentioned last week or the last class, the more I dive into this topic, I see how much I didn't know. And I didn't know, I'm serious, that this topic is so serious of Bal Tashchit, to the extent that even great rabbis will avoid paskin, giving a verdict, for very simple shayla, very simple questions. To cut or not to cut a tree. To us, it looks very simple thing. I need the space, cut it. I don't like the way the tree looks. Let me just trim it. And it turns out that it doesn't work like that. At all. So I'm going to share with you, B'ezras Hashem, more information. And we'll see what the halacha says about it. And it's, as we said, not limited to trees. Because today we'll share, B'ezras Hashem, I hope, more information about Bal Tashchit, should not waste, on other matters in our life. Food, clothing, books, you name it. It looks like, people tends to belittle this notion of Bal Tashchit. I'll give you an example. Just pop up to my mind. I hope you won't laugh, but to me, even when I was a Rabbi of a community, it always bothered me, and I told people about it. People go to the restroom, they wash their hands after. They go to the paper towel dispenser. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wet it and throw it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I always ask myself, why? So I tested once. Seriously, I tested how much I really need. So I understand that if your hands are very wet, you'll need more. Less wet. It's a waste. It's about what is right and what is wrong. And I thought it's wrong to waste so much toilet paper. But for some, we don't really care, till it comes from our own pockets. Remember, as a child, if you have extra food, you don't like it, you trash it. But when you get married or you live by yourself, by yourself, you have to spend money, you save the leftover to eat later. What's the difference? What's the difference now?
Who's paying for it?
Amen. So I tested, and until I could die, I tried to take off all the water that I can, and I was able, maybe surprised and maybe you left, with one. One is enough.
It's too thin.
So, take 2. You know what? Take 3. But put half of it, and sometimes half of what's in the dispenser, or quarter of it, fell off the dispenser. And get wet, nobody cares. Nobody put it back.
What I do is I take 3, I dry my hands, and then I wipe some stuff.
Okay, so this is just an example of a waste, something that we do on a regular day, and we don't pay attention. First, maybe we don't care about the shul's expenses or our friends' expenses, or we don't pay attention to it. It doesn't have to. It's not. I believe it's not coming from a bad intention. It's just we don't pay attention. And wasting, in according to the HaCohen Torah, is something very, very serious. It says about in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 2, verses 35, Lamed Hey. It says the pasuk after the spoil of the war that the Israelites defeated Sichon, the mighty kings. It says, Bazaznu lanu. Bazaznu, listen to what I'm saying. Bazaznu, tuzan. Strong word. We took to ourselves. Bazaznu means spoil. Biza means spoil of the war. After the war against Og, which occurred later, it says not bazaznu, it says bazonu. So the Sifri point out, what's the difference between is it a spoil or not a spoil? Why one time the Torah mentioned bazaznu, a big spoil of the war, and the next word that occurred just a few days later, it says only bazonu. You can imagine that when they were able to defeat Sichon, they took a lot of spoil. We're talking about hundred thousands of animals, and horses, and donkeys, and jewelries, and servants, and maids, and slaves. They become extra rich. What happened in the war later against Og? Again, the same thing. Many of the warriors are already rich. They have, thousands of animals. Now they're going to get more.
Too much.
Are they excited about it? They're not excited. They're not excited about it. So what happened? The Sifri says, "B'milchemet Sichon, the first war, the shalal, the spoil, haya haviv alam Israel." This spoil was make them excited. They loved it. They're about to enter the land of Israel. They need a lot of materials and clothing, supplies, you name it. The next war, they become, too spoiled. I don't need it. So what did they do? They did something wrong. The Shifri says, Am Israel, they were full of what they had before. And therefore, against Og, a few days later, they just ripped off clothing, they burned. On their way out, they killed animals, just like that. They go to donkeys, or horses, or sheep, and they just kill them and let them die over there. It says, Kar'u v'ishlichu begadim u'behemes. Is that a waste or not a waste?
Yeah. Yes.
And they took for themselves from the second war only what is light to carry. Gold, silver, you name it. Jewelry. To take animals, it takes, a lot of people to help you out. You have to put boundaries and ropes. This is mine. We'll take it later. You guard. You do this. It's a lot of work. Second war, a few days later, they already feel that they're full. They don't need that. So the question that Sifri asked, how is it possible that the people of Israel transgresses Bal Tashchit? They should not waste. Another thing is that why the Sifri writes a commentary under the title of Vayeshev Israel Bashitim, if that's the pasuk there. Israel dwelled in a place called Shittim. And this is like an introduction to the grave scene in the Baal Peor. Remember we discussed what's Baal Peor?
Idol.
It's some sort of idol. What type of an idol is it? Disgusting, right? The Nazi said, Good. The Nazi says, indeed it was a sin here, and the Sifri just bringing up a chain of sins that comes one after another. It says, first of all, the people of Israel belittled the spoil that Hashem gave him. if Hashem is giving you, remember with Yaakov Avinu, for vessels, cheap, simple vessels, he went back. Now Hashem gave them for a reason, okay, for a good reason. And they feel that they're full, and it says, this is a notion in the Torah, it says, Ba'atu batova. You know what's Ba'atu? Liv'ot, to kick. They kick in the goodness, in the blessing that Hashem gave them. And this is a start in order to go down with your morality, with your morale. Okay? They didn't appreciate what Hashem gave them. And it says, Avera goeret Avera. Avera, sin, lead to another sin. And lead to another sin. It started when they mistreated, they didn't appreciate what Hashem gave them, and the second one. And they didn't consider the suffering of a living creature. And they killed him just like that. So it's not. So what do you expect them to do if it's not there? If they don't want to take it, what do you expect them to do?
Set it free.
Set it free. Leave it there. Let other people enjoy. Why to destroy? Why to kill innocent animals? For no reason. You don't want it, let someone else enjoy it. And from this Avera, they got to another Avera called Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah in Gilui Arayos, as it was in Baal Peor. And the Sifri points out there is a connection between the waste and to such a great Avera. It's called Avodah Zarah with Baal Peor. There is a point of view. It's called Mabat, a look. That the nature, as we know, it's basically, if you look inside nature from science point of view, it's a masterpiece. It's beautiful, so accurate. And we know that everything that in this world has purpose, has a tachlit. Tachlit is a purpose. Nothing Hashem created in vain. It's okay to challenge that. King David challenged that. Remember we discussed with the net, with the spider net, and with the...
And then the spider saved his life. Not the bee, the wasp, right? And craziness, why Hashem create these three things. Hashem proved to him that he will need those things. Nothing in this world is in vain. There's a reason why Hashem creates everything. So anyone destroy any type of material or animal or vegetable or a tree, he actually creates a chain reaction. Okay? And you causing a damage to Hashem's creation. What did I do? I just killed an animal. It's not mine. It's the middle of a war. I throw away, I trash good clothing. So, yes, the Torah says there's something called the butterfly effect. And you did something wrong, will affect people in the world. The action you did, throwing and wasting something that can be used by other people. Every man, every person in this creation, in this world, is part of a system that led this man to his tikkun, to his rectification, to his shlemut. Be perfect. And there is a notion in the Torah from Chazal that I'm the center of the world. And some people think that everything that Hashem created is for me and it's only for me. And it was created for me. If I want, I can waste it. If I want, I can waste it. And I have money. I have money. Hashem gave me the money. Let me do with my money whatever I want. So, there's another point of view. When someone, God forbid, is in poverty, everything is significant to him. As it says, Evion, why they call, there's levels in the Torah, poor men called Ani, or called Evion. Evion is a lower level. Evion comes from the word Ta'ev. He desire for everything. Everything you see, he wants that wants it. So it's very bad to think that it's yours, you own it, and you can do whatever you want with it. To be honest with you, I thought that myself. It's mine, I don't like it. I can throw it away. Today I'm much more careful. We'll see in a minute, Bezrat Hashem, halacha about it. So, bottom line, a person that he is satisfied, that is full, has two ways. One, to understand and to admit, and understand that he has the merit to be part of a great system, a masterpiece, a nature. And the purpose of that participation, being in that system, is gilui kvod shamayim, to uncover the kvod shamayim. How do I do that? It's a very high words. How do I do that? By not wasting, I'm giving kavod, honor to shamayim? The answer is yes. It says, Bayom Ahu in Zechariah, Yeh Hashem Echad, U'Shemo Echad. Our sage is teaching us the only way to get to that point, to that place, to that time, that Hashem's name will be Echad, U'Shemo Echad, is if we keep the Torah and we study the Halacha, because this is the Retzon Hashem. This is Hashem's will. Whether you like it, you don't like it, you understand, you don't understand. This is why, one of the reasons that I'm trying to focus on our classes here and there on simple halacha. So we'll practice it on a daily basis. And there's another way for someone that he says he's baz lechol davar, he despises everything. If he doesn't like it now, he has no need for it now, he put it outside. He leave it, a tools outside to get rotten in the rain. To get rust. It's a waste. But it's mine. You need to make the effort to take the tool, put it inside. Remember what the Zohar says. It brings people to poverty. We get used to it. We don't pay attention to these kind of things. To give an example, I was today in the house, the same house I mentioned, and they have a garage. And in the garage there was a wall the previous people moved. So this is why I was there to help out with fixing things. So on the walls, they had a lot of tools. Most of the tools there were full of rust. Good tools. It was I couldn't look at it. It was such a waste. Turns out there was a leak. And it drips. But the guy left it there. Take it out. Clean it. Move it to another spot. It's nonsense. I can buy in Lowe's. It's going to cost me another $200. No big deal. It's a big deal. According to the Torah, it's a waste. You don't appreciate what Hashem gives you. Maybe the other $200 you can share with other people. Buy food, give them food. Oh, there are other purposes for them. So, the difference between Avodat Hashem, worshipping God, and Avodah Zara is very little. It's a very thin layer. We don't even notice that. So, a true Hashem servant always think what Hashem thinks about what I'm doing. Before you do some action, you say, if what I'm about to do, Hashem will like it, Hashem will approve it, yes or no? I got a question. I get this question every year. There's parties now at the end of the year, and there's New Year, and there's Christmas and all the dead parties. Can I go or I can't go? My wife says she's bored here, and I don't let her go out, and all the guys, everybody goes to the bar. It's an okay bar. They give me all the reason why they can't go there. And after giving me such a speech, trying to convince me to say, yes, go to the club with your wife. So I told them, let me ask you one question. Do you think the place you're going, Hashem will approve, yes or no? He said, Rabbi, thank you, I got the answer. Boom. That's it. You know how many problems people had because he was dancing with her and she was dancing with him? They look at each other and they gave no to each other. I'm not telling you stories. I'm telling you things that I was involved in. After that, trying to do Shalom Bayit. First thing, think. What I'm about to say, to do, will Hashem approve, yes or no? This is a very simple test everyone can do. There's some other people that he cares about himself. And he take the Torah and the halacha and he manipulate it to his own needs. Believe me, you can find almost halacha that permit and you be on the toilet zone or vague, and you can find ways to say, but the halacha is not clear, and but this rabbi permitted. You can always find a rabbi that permitted this. So, this is about a short introduction about what we're actually dealing with. As I told you at the beginning of the class, the more I dig into it, I see how serious. And I'm going to give you some examples. We all know that this prohibition comes from the Torah, right? The pasuk in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy. So when you besiege a city to wage war, do not destroy its trees by swinging an axe against them, for from it you will eat, and you shall not cut it down. Only a tree that you know is not a fruit tree. If you may destroy and cut down. And even that is not simple. Even the Torah gives me a permission to destroy, it's not that simple. We'll see examples. Rabbi Hanina share a story in the Talmud in Masechet Tractate Baba Kama about what happened. He says it's debatable among the Mefarshim if it was his own son or someone that called like that. According to most Mefarshim, it says that it was his own son. He says that his son Shechachat, or some say Shibchat, that was his name. He says he will not die at a young age. He lost his son only because one sin. So you would think, I don't know, did he worship Avodah Zarah?
The bird.
Idolatry. What did he do? And Allah says, he just cut a fig tree before its time. Wasn't before its time. It's not dry. It's not a dead tree. It still produces fruits. He cut it. He cut the tree. His neshama cut. His nefesh. And the Talmud bothered to bring that story. I mean, this is a serious thing. You know, in California, so I heard that people have a lot of fruit trees in the backyards. The people, Baruch Hashem, building houses. It's not so simple. The Achronim Katvu, when there is a need, שכאשר יש בכך צורך מסוים, שכאשר בצורך מסוים ואין איסור, even if you have halacha, you back up from halacha, there is no isur, there is no prohibition, you can cut it, there is still, it says, עדיין יש סכנה, there is still danger, but the Torah permit me, the halacha says you can cut it down, the sakana is still there, unless it's a really great need. So what is considered a great need? So they can waste, cut a tree, throw extra food, throw away clothing, whatever, any other material that other people can benefit from it. What's considered as a good need? So I'm going to share with you. Do you have any questions, by the way? Go ahead.
So you're saying that, like in California, they have all these fruit trees and everything, like literally in the backyard. And let's say there's a Jewish builder, not religious, doesn't know any halacha, nothing, and he bulldozes this fruit tree to build a new condo complex. Does he still have consequences? That it's going to be cutting his life shorter, or because he doesn't know and he has no one to ask, and he's just like...
Okay, there's a big difference in the Jewish halacha, thank you, about if you know or you don't know, intentional or unintentional sins. This is something that we need to know. It's very important. That when you don't know, you don't know. So in Shamayim, they treat you in heaven differently. On the other hand, we have the responsibility to learn. But it's not going to be only the problem of the contractor. It could be the main problem of the owner of the land. Even if he brings a contractor. But it depends if the contractor is Jew and a non-Jew. Because using a non-Jew contractor might be a good solution. But it's not even that is not enough. I'm going to because Hashem we study today what good solution we have in order to cut a tree using a non-Jew and which way. You can't just let them go ahead cut it. Go ahead.
Then the other way around, say non-Jews land and a Jewish contractor.
No problem. It's the best thing to do.
Because who's the owner of the tree?
The non-Jew.
Go.
So that's not the Jewish.
Not a problem at all because the non-Jew they're not committed. It's not one of the seven universal laws.
No, but
they can cut it, no problem.
But the Jew knows better. But it's not his.
No, but they need it. There's a good need for it. We are in a situation. There is a good need. We need to cut it in order to have a building.
Okay.
And depends what building, by the way. It's not just every building. So let's be patient. So it says, the Taz says, okay, גם במקום שאינו בכלל עליו, בל תשחית יש סכנה. So now, when I got your attention, we know that there is a high risk for one to lose, God forbid, his own children. The Talmud in Masechet Baba Metzia, in page 108, Kufchet, it gives a story about a river. It was a story about a river that trees came out of these few spots in the river, and it was bothersome to some ships and boats to go through it, and some of the trees belongs to Rabbi Baravuna, a Jew, a great rabbi. It belonged to him. But he never cut it. Why he never cut it? Because he saw that, imagine that, look here, this is his trees, but the governor's has his trees here. Meaning, Rabbi says, even if I cut mine, the governor's tree is still as an obstacle, they're still standing there. We didn't solve anything, any problem. In case that he will move his trees, there's a point for me to remove my trees. So he left his trees there. You understand the situation? Okay. One day, so he didn't cut them. Rabbi Baravuna. Another day came another guy named Rabbi, but this guy is Rabbi Barav Nachman, in his ship, and he looked and he says, whose is this tree? It's in the middle of the way. They told him, I belong to Rabbi Baravuna. He has a name like you. You're a great rabbi. He said, okay, listen to me. We got to cut them down. And he says the pasuk, V'yad hasorim, quoted from Ezra, V'yad hasarim v'aseganim hayta b'ma'al hazeh rishona. This is from Rabbi Baravuna. It's a great rabbi. It was such an example. What is this? It's an obstacle standing like that in Rishus Arabim, in the middle of the road. It was in the river. There should be an example. Cut him down. And he gave an order to cut him, and they cut it, without knowing that it will be useless. Why? Because there's still many trees belongs to the governor. So there's no point to cut Rabbi, the other rabbi's trees. When Rabbi heard about that his trees were cut, which he would do probably, but he didn't do for a good reason, he says, Mishikatzatz lo yitkaimu yeladav. He says, I'm worried. I'm very worried. I'm very sad. He says, it's just this tree. Why are you so sad? He said to them, if you cut the trees, his kid's going to die. And the Talmud says, Rabbi Baravuna, the one that gave the order to cut the trees, all his children died in his life. Imagine to yourself, God forbid, can you imagine that? A red rabbi, a person, any person, buried his own kids in his life. This is the worst decree to come with someone. and people burying parents, grandparents. It's very, very sad, but it's nature. This is the world. But to bury a child, this is really something bad.
Can we assume that those children, though, had something about them that necessitated that to happen? Because why would they have to pay for something the father did that they were absolutely putter on?
It's not the first thing that to talk about. The kids bothering, the kids paying for the mistakes of the parents. For example, the Talmud says, "Ba'avur nedarim." When you don't say bli neder, you swear, you give neder, everything you do. Kids die. His wife will die, and so forth and so on. So you can ask, why it's her fault? Why it's their fault? Remember what we said. There's something called segula, something that Hashem implemented in the nature when He created the world. It's in the DNA of the world. You do that, that will happen. You do that, that will happen. So, I don't know the cheshbon. It is what it is. You have to be very careful with that. Take, for example, Avshalom. Okay, Avshalom. Remember Avshalom? The son of David the Melech. So Masechet Sota in page Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, in 11a, tells the story about Avshalom, that you can see it in the book of Shemuel, that Avshalom, after he killed his own brother Amnon, he was exiled, and he wanted to come back. Yoav helped them to come back. But for 2 years after Avshalom came back to the city, he was not invited. No Friday meal, no kiddush, no bar mitzvah, no bris, no event, nothing. He's like in the city, but excommunicated. Avshalom, the son of King David.
The whole city, or his father, or the whole city?
His father. I don't know if his friends invited him, but his father. He cares about his family, and not inviting him. So he sent messages to Yoav. I appreciate you came here. I mean, you brought me here. You were able to convince. It's a whole story. You look in the book of Shemuel, how they trick David to bring Avshalom back. You made much effort to bring me back, but I'm here like in the exile. I'm in the city, but I'm in the exile. I'm excommunicated. Nobody's really. I'm not part of anything. He's sending Yoav these letters, and Yoav is ignoring him. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, 2 years. So I got to do something. So what he did, he went to Yoav's fields, and he burned them. So after I do that, I know he's going to come to me. Now I got his attention. And then, we can read more of the story later. But what happened was that after he did that, a decree came upon Avshalom, and his sons, his children died in his life. All due to that action. Burning the crop. Burning the grains. Some says that it's also not only because Bal Tashchit, because he damaged his friend's property and he didn't pay. Even if you do it for a good purpose, to get his attention. At the end of the day, you damaged him. Okay. Question so far. Good. Next. It says, Eino ro'eh siman beracha. One that is doing Bal Tashchit won't see a sign of blessing. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that, by the way, that if you do some Bal Tashchit, you don't see ever now a sign of blessing in your life ever. It means in regards to that matter, things that are related to that matter. For example, you cut trees in order to build something there. You didn't consult with a Talmid Chacham. You did it the wrong way. You will have no bracha in that place, period. People don't know that. They don't know that. And they don't understand why they have no bracha. Only troubles in their life. So the Maharsha brings that if someone cuts, it says in the Talmud Psachim, someone who cuts good trees in order to sell them, to sell these logs or firewood or whatever, he won't see a sign of blessing from that actions. Even if you have a lot of material, you can sell it with good money, there's no beracha in it. You might get a lot of money. You know, a lot of people can cheat, they get a lot of money. but there's no bracha in it. You will lose it in a different way.
I'm confused with it. Are you talking about?
And he says, let me just finish this part. And Rashi says, because he cuts good trees and he sells them, people see them and give them ayin hara. They give them evil eye. They put it in the evil eye in the logs, in the lumber. Sorry, guys.
So I'm confused when you say good trees. I mean, we need some time. First, you define it as non-fruit bearing trees, or
That's at the very end. I'm going to tell you the definition of a good tree.
because we need lumber.
Of course.
We need lumber. We need.
So we see what is permitted. It's a good question.
Especially now.
If you need lumber, what do you need lumber for?
to build a house.
It's a good cause. So which lumber? Where? Is it the trees around the house that you need or want to use, or it's better to go ahead and get from the far forest, or to get something that is already cut, versus cutting? You're trying to save money, so you're cutting all trees. This is why people, did many years ago. They cut trees around, and from that trees they build houses.
Yes.
Today we go to a factory, we go to Lowe's, Home Depot, and we buy. So we'll see it. Be patient. So imagine that. You're breaking halacha, and immediately ayin hara control your property, your parnasa. The Maharsha says also he has a double punishment. One, he has no blessing. Secondly, he get ayin hara. Now I saw something very interesting. I would never make a connection. And it comes from the Zohar, and it comes from the Sefarim of the Mekubalim, the book of the Mekubalim. It says that one, I have it here maybe, it's in, okay. As if it to reinforce the biblical prohibition quoted above, what we said, against cutting down the fruit trees, we find the rabbinic literature, some ominous, right, warning against doing so. The Talmud quotes Rav Chanina, where we said, blaming his son's intimately passing on the fact that his son had cut down a fig tree while it was still flourishing. Additionally, we find in the Talmud that the moon and the stars are punished. Eclipse. You heard about eclipse? No. It's called likui chama. Likui, eclipse. Because healthy fruit-bearing trees are chopped down. Rabbi Yehuda, Chassid, in his will, also warns against destroying any fruit-producing trees. So what's the connection? And if people cutting trees, eclipse. The Talmud says in Masechet Sukkah, in page Chavtet 29, it says, nevertheless, the date of the eclipse are already determined. You know exactly when they're going to come. And this date determined from times of creation. We know exactly today when it's going to happen. It says that there is a midat hadin, a measurement of judgment in this eclipse, and it punishes those at that time who cut trees. In Masechet Sukkah, it says there's four kind of people. It says, on account of four matters, the heavenly lights are eclipsed. This is Masechet Sukkah, it's a Gemara. One is, the first one is Kotve Plaster, those who forged the documents. They'll be punished in times of eclipse. Two, Me'ida Edu Cheker, people that gives a false testimony. Three, Megadle Behemadaka, those who raise and grow goats. Back then it was a big problem. It's called Behemadaka. Behemadaka, it's goat, sheep, and all that. Because they are uncontrolled. They go to other people and graze in other people's property. And you can't control them. Okay? And the fourth one, he says, Kotzetze ilanot, those who chop trees. Rashi, afilu en shelem, even it belongs to them. What's the reason? He said, because you're destroying. It's a destructive act. Destruction act. And it looks like you are kicking, you are you don't appreciate Hashem's goodness and Hashem's blessing that Hashem give and bring in this world. Okay. It says, did you know that trees and vegetables speaks? They talk? You hear about that before?
I know they listen.
From the movie.
You heard that before? That they speak?
They
They
listen.
listen, they can hear?
Are they like do
Play music too.
I don't go there yet.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever hear the notion of vegetables and trees speaks?
No.
Well, I've seen trees sometimes when there's wind, they blow and they have noise, and it's almost like they're singing Shir Hashem. There's a certain pattern.
Right. That's a good point. I don't want to discuss that, but because you mentioned that, Shlomo, King Solomon, could understand the language of vegetables and trees. What does that mean? Even Rabbi Yochanan, it says about him in Ar Tanoim, they can understand the language of trees. What does that mean? So it says, I don't remember where I saw it, but there's a trick to do it. They know how to do it. They took some sort of a sheet from over the bed or something, and they put it between two trees, and they knew how to read the movement of the branches and translate it into a language. Because the trees moving, this is how they speak. By the way, the trees are communicating with each other. You know that there's some trees that there are zachar and nekeva, a male and a female. Do you know that? Mm-hmm. You heard that? Yeah. So they communicate with each other. Do you know that in science they check if you speak to a tree or vegetable, they grow?
Yes.
Or music influence them. What do you mean? They have ears? The tree have ears. The vegetables, the tomatoes, the watermelons. How's it? What do you mean they can hear and talk? It says in the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. It says, "B'sha'ar shekotzetzim etzmacha." When you cut down a fruit trees, mashmiya ha'etz kol, the tree is crying, and the sounds of this tree is been heard from one edge of the world to the other end, from one end to another, meaning around the world. I'm just trying to translate literally. Ela, but this voice cannot be heard by people. It's above our ability. The Midrash says, we learn it from the pasuk in Bereshit, when Hashem created the world. It says, V'chol, in chapter Bet, second chapter, verse 8. It says, V'chol siach hasadeh. We talk about what Hashem created. It says, V'chol siach hasadeh. Siach, you know what siach in Hebrew?
No.
When I'm talking to you and we're talking with each other, we are mesochachim. We're communicating, we're talking with each other. Ledaber, what's ledaber?
To speak.
What is lesocheach? It's the same. It's a different level, but it's the same, meaning communicating with words. Sicha, meaning communicating with words. Sicha.
With words.
With words.
Okay.
So, lesocheach. It's hinted in the pasuk in Bereshit, v'chol siach hasadeh, meaning that, listen to this, it says, ilano, the trees speaks with people. You walk by a tree and he's talking to you.
That tree, very old.
If you were able to understand what they're saying, they probably would reveal to us a lot of stuff. King Solomon and other great phenomenon, great rabbis could understand the language.
So do stones.
So
do stones talk to you.
Who?
Stones, like quartz and quartz and
About stone, it says, the Evan, stone, Mikir from a wall, Hizak, will scream. It's related when, after 120 years, one goes to Shamayim, even the walls will testify against you. They say even a light conversation, even Sicha Kala, a light conversation between you and your wife. You won't be able to hide anything unless you did teshuvah. Lashon hara, curses. Let's do it now. I need it too, believe me. We all need it.
You're doing that forever.
That's why my stopped.
You know, there is a prohibition for one to walk lonely by himself on the street at night.
Right.
Many reasons. One of them is the shindale, the other forces. When you're with friends, they can control you. Especially not to sleep overnight at certain places. But it says, U'ma'aseh be'adam, about a person, shebatzar et karmo, he has a vineyard, and he cut the trees, the grapes. Ve'lan b'makom, it was too late. Everything was in boxes. All the way to go to the house, he was tired. So he slept that night in his vineyard, which was in a field far away from the house. And baruach v'hiziko. He said that some sort of a power called ruach, okay, came and heard this man. Rashi, she'adam mashki'a ba'ilan, v'hu mashiv lo al yedei afakat hayevul arbe o me'at. What happened was, this guy, he was supposed to know, you did something good. You cut grapes. But cutting, even for a good purpose, can be problematic. You were not supposed to stay there. Because if you stay there by yourself without cutting, is as if there's someone else with you. What was it? The tree with the fruits. It's considered like an entity by itself. But now you cut it. Yes, you have a good reason. But you cut it. You cut it, you should know, the day you cut the fruit, you don't stay in the field. The day you don't cut it, you can stay, probably. And from here, we learn that even when we see an inanimate object, they're not so inanimate. It's not domain. They have the power to communicate with us, and when we damage them, when we hurt them, they make sound. And they also damage or hurt the people that hurt them. We know that every vegetables, every tree has its own representative in Shemayim. So they're saying, who screams? That's representative. That's malach. Every vegetable, every tree, every whatever, fruit trees or not fruit trees, they have representative in Shemayim. When you hurt them, he is now against you. It's some sort of spiritual power that can hurt you back, unless you have a good reason, unless you have a halacha, a permission to cut it.
What about if, when you're eating it, is the vegetable happy that it's giving?
Okay, I'm getting there, because it could be a tikkun. The only tikkun we could do for fruit. You see the fruits here, Baruch Hashem? They're wonderful fruit. Could be that there's a neshamot, megulgalot. There's a neshama in one or all of them. I don't know. I don't have these special spiritual glasses. The great rabbis can tell.
Why would why would somebody put in neshama in an orange that's going to end up in somebody's tummy?
Okay, because this is their tikkun. When you do the beracha, you do the tikkun.
Over the orange.
If you don't do tikkun to that, if you don't do, and you eat it without the beracha, this neshamot that you can redeem and you didn't do, it says in the Zohar they will stand in Shemayim after 120 years and they will scream against you, I'll take you to court, because you could redeem them 100 years ago and you didn't do it. But with bracha, you can do that. This is why we do Birkat HaIlanot on far orchards. Why far? I have it in my backyard. Because there's neshamot no one take care of. Make the efforts. You can fulfill the mitzvah in your backyard, fine. If you make the extra efforts to go to a far orchard, you can redeem many neshamot at once. Okay, Hashem is giving the opportunity to this neshamot to be redeemed. If you didn't do it, they have to come back to another tree, and sometimes to wait till the tree is going to grow back fruits, and it's the whole thing. You understand the concept? Yes, right.
I was going to mention, you told us about the bracha for the tree. It's called the orchard.
Yes, ברכת אילנות,
I was
תודה.
just reminded, yeah.
So it's not good to tell someone they're in a pickle.
You're playing with words. Very nice.
Very cleverly, though.
Only if it's a kosher bill.
The apple of my eye.
My name is Granite, okay? I've been waiting a long time for someone to make a breath on me.
Oh, here it is. Here is the story about the sheet. It says that Tshuvat HaGeonim, the Rabbi David Loria, is a generation after the Cohen in Vilna. Okay, he mentioned that you can read the language of the Dekalim. Dekel is a date tree. You can read the language if you put between them the sheets, and according to the movement of the branches, you can learn. And he says, in the days of Rav Hai Gaon was a great rabbi by the name Rabbi Avraham Kavasi. He was a great Gaon. He was Baki. He was expert in this wisdom, in this chokhmah. And he got a lot of information from the trees. The trees is the angel that he hears, behind the pagod, behind the screen, and they deliver messages through that. It's another chokhmah in Judaism. So the Midrash says about the guy that slept in that place, because the tree is communicating with each other and they talk with you, it's not considered that you are sleeping or staying lonely by yourself over there. But after he cut it, this spirit came, this ruach spirit came and hurt him. When spirit hurt someone, it can come in different forms. It could be one time, it could be for much longer. Okay? One day, Be'ezrat Hashem, we can study about what does that mean. You see people that they're possessed. You heard about this kind of stuff? If it's true, not true, what's the trick to get rid of it, and what to do. Okay. Mazir.
5 minutes. Time flies.
Okay.
We need a retreat.
According to the Ariyah Kadosh, there's neshamot, souls that they are reincarnate into the megulgalot, into trees. When one chopped them before their time, he prevent their tikkun from them. This is one of the reasons, according to Kabbalah, why not to cut even an innocent tree. You cut it for no reason. If there is a good reason, it's fine. Could be that this is now his tikkun. If times come when you're supposed to cut it, but for no real reason, you cut it before its time. And you prevent the neshamot that is in that tree to reach their own tikkun. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing is, it says in the Sifri that another reason why not to cut trees, because it says, Hayav shel ha'adam ha'ilanot. We get benefits from the trees. Even trees that are not bearing fruit, because they produces oxygen.
Yes.
Right? It's another reason why Hashem make them, and we should not cut them for no reason. So we get benefit as like fruit, we get from it, we get oxygen from it, and so forth and so on. We've learned already, and I'm concluding, I'm wrapping up with that. I'm thinking next time is going to be the halacha about it, and then we move to another topic in the Zohar. We already learned about the chinuch, the Sefer Chinuch wrote about the notion called destruction. That the Hasidim and the Tzaddikim, the Rabbi, they care about even a mustard seed. It's something so small you don't care. They care, because if you care about these little things, you care definitely about the big things. Remember what Giuliani did in New York? It's called the broken window syndrome or something.
Windows, yeah.
If you care about small broken window, you make a big fuss out of it, so you won't have to deal with big things. But you let go, so the broken window, you're going to face much problems and troubles. This is good for chinuch in the house as well, in each house. Let me conclude with saying that Aruch HaShulchan says about the eclipse, the reason not to cut trees for no good reason, because the me'orot, the lights, sun, the moon, eclipse, it's called lokim, because the yareach nitma'ata al yedei shekitota, because the yareach, the moon, questioned Hashem. You remember the middle, it says, too much light, we have too light, we have big powers. Right. The sun should not have so much power like me. So Hashem says, I'm going to make you small. You get all your power from the sun right now. Why? Because Hashem gave tovah, gave blessing to someone else. Why you care? Why you complain? Why you complain that someone else has the power? So you're going to pay for it. In Sefer Hasidim, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, we have this book in the shul, by the way. I was very happy to see it in Hebrew. He is warning, and all the rabbis quoting, not to waste. So I have to stop here. I can tell you now that we only talked about trees, but Bezrat Hashem next time. Oh, we're not going to have next time. I'm leaving to Israel next Wednesday. We're going to have Torah class Bezrat Hashem on Shabbat. Then I'm leaving to Israel for a few weeks. When we continue with this topic to finish all the halachot and moving to the next topic. By the way, any suggestion that you have, any question that you have, I'll be happy to hear. We're trying to have this class equal to everybody, that everybody can enjoy and take something with them home to practice. That's the whole idea here. I want to encourage you and bless you. I want to thank the Granite family for setting up such a beautiful table and hosting us every Wednesday. We're all excited about it. Hashem give you a great parnasah. May Hashem fulfill your wishes to the best. And Bez Hashem, all your children, if you have nachat from them.
Amen.
According to Torah, according to the mitzvah, the Torah of Israel Salva. And all those who participate, Hashem bless you with much berachot and give you power. And Bezrat Hashem, if we be careful, from Bal Tashchit, we'll have an extra berachot. So be careful not to waste. Whatever you can, share with some other people. It's a much blessing. Any questions?
Thank you.
Toda Rabba for Malki for sponsoring this Torah class. Shavua Tov, Shabbat Shalom.
I live in the house I grew up in, and I have some incredible trees that my parents planted. And I have two in my front yard. One is a humongous live oak tree. And people actually stop their cars to look at the tree, and I just have so much love for it.
So there's a question in the halacha if it's going over the fence to the sidewalk, if you can cut it or not. It's not so simple. If other people benefit from it or not. This is very, very important. I didn't know till I digged and dived into this topic. I'm telling you, I didn't know that's serious. I knew, I heard about Bal Tashchit.
But I talked to the tree, and the tree talks to me.
You start talking to trees? Oh, can you give us some water?
And my mother, wrote songs.
You whispered to the tree. The tree whispered.
And and they made it through the tornado. And what happened also when we had the big freeze, the tree went like this.